Welcome to this channel. So in the past few days, I have a chance to discuss with many friends worldwide. And when it comes to the topic of Qigong, Neigong, martial art, energy training, mindfulness training, what I found out is all of these friends really do not know what they are talking about. So that's why I like to share this with you today. Once for all, we need to get this thing straight. Because all these friends who talk to me about Qigong and this and that, Neigong and everything, they are just using terms. Terms they don't even know what it is. And everybody define their own stuff. For example, you go around, you can hear about people talk about Qigong, Neigong, Taoist practice, Buddhist practice, natural breathing, dantian breathing, mindfulness breathing, reverse breathing, all sort of stuff. But if you ask more deeper, most people is just define whatever they like to define. And thus you look around, they just make claim, but cannot provide evidence to support their claim. Most people don't even have any development at all. And that is what happens in today's world. Disregard of this Asia or the West, many people claim they are expert, but they are just using empty words. They create their own stuff. And that's why it cannot be verified by science. And on the other way, it cannot get the result what the ancient Chinese is presenting. So now this is the case. Everybody have terms. Everybody have their own style, their own ideas, but none know what is going on. So in one way, you cannot verify with science. So the scientific guy saying that, what are you talking about? Selling snake oil or being superstitious? On the other hand, it cannot get the result what the ancients is presenting. So either way, it is like living in an empty space where it never touch ground. So today I'd like to share with you. Put this in your mind if you want to practice Qigong meditations, martial art, Qigong, whatever. And this is make it really basic. So I don't want to use the term Qigong or whatever. Just use the term breathing. Breathing. So it is universals from the past, ancient, and today in sports science. Everybody know what I'm talking about. That is the bottom line. Okay. If we want to talk about the Qigong, Neigong, Taoist, Buddhist, natural, mindful, all this nonsense, if you want to talk about it and make it really have content with it instead of nonsense, then we need to know this. That's for sure. You might ask, well, Hendrik, are you boasting this, or are you trying to make money on this and everything? What I can tell you is that this is universe. I have made a universe model on this. You violating this, you know you are violating the proper practice. That's how far it gets. Because I don't create this. I just present you what exactly happened, which is presented by the ancient. Doesn't matter it's Taoist, Buddhist, whatever Qigong. The real deal always have to go this way. Okay? Now, in order to talk natural, dantian, or mindful, or natural breathing, one need to have a reference. It's like when we talk about we want to go to New York. We need to have a reference. It's not everywhere is New York. It's not that I can define my own New York. If I'm in San Francisco, I go to New York, I need to know that I'm going to flying east, not flying west. Okay? So you need a reference there. So with all the Qigong, Neigong, whatever Gong you want to talk about, whatever mindfulness, natural, dantian, reverse, breathing, whatever you want to talk about, first, we need to know the reference. Without knowing the reference, without experiencing the reference, be able to develop it, that is empty talk. Okay? You can tell people, oh, you need to breathe naturally. So what is naturally? You can tell people, oh, you need to have this dantian breathing. So what is dantian breathing? So this again get into the Ronnie Dangerfield back to school widgets. Let's get this widgets KungFu. Okay? Widget Qigong. So that doesn't work. The banker will not buy into your widget. The banker, when they want to turn into money, they need to know what is going on. So one need the reference. The reference is be able to achieve, accomplish, develop, and really surely experience the natural lower abs breathing. So any of those Qigong, Neigong, Taoist, Buddhist, natural, mindful, dantian, whatever heck people can talk, if they cannot present the natural lower abs breathing clearly, accurately, in details, describe it, you know they don't have it. They just talk. So this is the reference. One need to develop the natural lower abs breathing. Now, after one be able to develop it. Now, develop it doesn't mean that one is the best in the universe. Develop it just means that if you know how to swim, you know how to swim. You don't have to be Olympic swimmer. But at least you know how to swim, to be able to talk swimming in a sensible way. And today, all this talk is, it couldn't talk in a sensible way because it's like a guy who tried to talk swimming, making all kinds of talk and claim like the universe hero of swimming or the Olympic swimmer, but really do not know what they are talking about. So the bottom line is, at all costs, if you want to develop the Qigong, Neigong, internal art, whatever you talk about, you have to develop that natural low abs breathing. No exception. Okay? Now, those are the basic of really basic. Those are the reference. Everybody in Wing Chun need to develop that if you want to talk about internal Wing Chun. It is a must. Otherwise, you don't have whatever internal. Okay? Same with in the Shaolin martial art, you need to develop that. Same with those who do meditations or Qigong, whatever, the real deal. They need to develop that. After they develop this, the next thing what the ancient will develop is the recovery, healing, and going deeper into the natural breathing. You take that path, and then if you go further, it get into the samadhi, deep meditations. So from natural low abs breathing, one travel the natural path, go deep into the natural path, and thus they be able to develop the skill of or the handling of the recovery of the body, the healing of the body, and further proceed into the deep meditations or samadhi. They travel this path. Now, this is all natural. You let go and let it be. That is how the path is. For those who want to use it in the martial art purpose or the strength purpose and all kind of stuff, they travel from this natural lower abs breathing, go upward to martial art trainings type of development, like be able to take shot in their body, be able to lift really heavy weight, and those are the training type of the development. So this is recovery type, and the directions of the recovery type is traveling the natural path. For the training directions, the martial art purpose, it is using the intentional manipulative part. Okay? So if you want to get into the deep recovery, deep healing, samadhi, one is using the natural path, going down from the natural lower abs breathing. For those who want to develop the martial art purpose for strengthening and so forth, it's taking the intention manipulative path. Okay? So this is a training. This is a training. This is a recovery. They are two different things. If one train too much, one need to go back to the recovery, this type, to heal the body, to recover the body. If one want to strengthen it, one have to go to this path. So this is a full view of what is going on with Qigong, or meditations, or martial arts, which one need to know. Without this map, keeping talking about natural breathing, mindfulness breathing, what the heck is one talking about? Or I have this Qigong, my martial art Qigong training. What the heck you're talking about? Today, you can see that many problem out there. This thing, most don't have it. And they get into this. Many people get into this, like, oh, I'm doing this, like some northern Chinese KungFu keeping doing this kind of thing, hard Qigong they call it. Scream the hell out of the thing, but you know that they don't have this. So are they really be able to develop something? There's a big question there. And then for the meditation people, they have no idea on this. The soft Qigong people, they don't have ideas in this. They just do exercise. You look in the park, everybody do the exercise. And they say that this is Qigong. This is internal art. This is soft Qigong. It is nonsense. Because once you don't have the reference, you don't know how to do this, get here this path, So the entire thing break apart. Okay? This is the situation today. Now, in order to develop the natural lower abs breathing, we need to be careful. There's a sequence. The sequence is one must deal with or condition the physical body, know how to handle it before one can go to the mind, to quiet down the mind, and then go to the breathing to to let the natural breathing surface. All of this, it is naturally surface. The breathing, the mind, the physical, the mind, the breathing. That is the sequence. You don't mess around with this. If you mess around with this, you'll never get that. So, like in previous week or so, many people talk to me about they are Qigong this and that. And I just listen. I just check them. Do they know the sequence? Do they have this? Can they describe the characteristic of this? Can they describe this? What turns out is that all whoever talked to me for past 2 weeks have no idea on this, but they're keeping using this. So let me give you an example. Why is this sequence is important? Why this is very, very critical if you really want to develop this breathing and this handling. Example, if you are in pain, can you have a quiet mind? When you are physical body in pain, will you be able to have a quiet mind? Well, of course you can. So there's a sequence. You need to smooth out your physical before you can get a quiet mind. The second thing, if you have an impatient mind or really try to control mind, will you get a natural breathing? Try it. You try to control something and see whether your breathing will be natural or not. Or you try to manipulate that breathing too. Like people who practice mindfulness, they go down there, sit down there, their mind is impatient. They want to count this 1 to 10 or whatever sort. Can they really have a natural breathing? The breathing naturally? Leave it alone by naturally? Of course not. So one have to unwrap or let the body settle down, the physical body, and comfort before the mind will naturally quiet down. And only after the mind quiet down, then the breathing will be natural. Try it. When you are in pain or anything, you try to pay attention to your breathing. See whether you can pay attention to your breathing or you try to control that breathing. Try it. Well, I can tell the answer. The answer is that if your physical is in pain, you try to pay attention to your breathing, you cannot. You will end up to try to control or suffocate and all sort of crazy stuff happen. All sort of problem happen. Okay? So when people say, well, I want to have this mindfulness, the real thing of mindfulness is you need to have the physical in comfort, it unwrap itself, and then the mind quiet down by itself naturally, and then the breathing run naturally. Only after you achieve that for some times, then the mindfulness show up. Okay? So you can, when I say mindfulness show up, I can define with you. Mindfulness show up meaning that when your body is in comfort, your mind quiet down, your breathing is natural. If you are at this state, you wait a little bit, you suddenly be able to mindful or aware of the entire thing. If you don't go through this, for example, if the body is in uncomfortable, you try to be mindful of your breathing, you end up to have a really impatient mind. You try to control things and you get into tunnel vision. You never mindful. You thought that, oh, by doing this, I'm mindful. No, you are in tunnel vision. Mindful meaning that when you put this all in the natural surface and you wait a little bit, the entire thing you see, you don't even have to think. You don't even have to pay attention. Okay? It's just like when we sit in this room. If we really quiet down our mind, really loosen up our body, and then our mind quiet down, our breathing get into natural, and suddenly we're mindful of the entire environment. Or if you are right now in vacation, you sit like beside a lake or a forest, you just sit in a very comfortable position, and then your mind is going to quiet down, and then your breathing will be run naturally, and suddenly you're aware of the entire, like the lake or the forest. That is mindfulness. Okay? So in order to get to the natural low abs breathing, you need to know how to develop this, how to handle this. Instead of jumping into this, I have to be mindful of this thing, mindful of that thing, all manipulative stuff. I have to exhale this way. I have to inhale this way. I have to pay attention to the intensity of my breathing. The minute you do that, you're dead. Why? Because the real guy who, like the Buddha said, you know the breathing in, you know inhale, you know exhale, you know the length of the inhale, you know the length of the exhale, you know the breathing is like spread throughout the world, throughout the entire body. That is because they already achieved the mindfulness state. Is on top of the mindfulness state, they naturally aware of this thing. It is not using your intention to aware of this thing or to know your breathing and those kind of things. It is not that. It is the entire thing show up like when you are sitting beside a good scenery area, you relax your body, mind quiet now, your breathing become natural, and suddenly you can sense, you can mindful for everybody, everything in the scenery, in the beautiful scenery, and then who walk where you know, but you don't even using in the intention. Okay, so you need to develop this. Be really careful. You need to go down to the recovery before you go to the uh, training. Because if you don't understand this, the natural, you try to manipulate it, good luck. It's like if I don't even know this physical mind breathing, I say I'm doing Qigong. What are you doing? What are you doing? You want to say, you talk about, I want to do internal art. You don't know the sequence and how to develop that, how to get here, all this pathway and all this thing. What are you doing? You are just using your intention or your idea to brute force whatever you want. And you call that based on the Chinese Taoist philosophy or this philosophy or that philosophy. All of those stuff is not accord to the natural at all. That's why you never develop anything. So, if you really develop this, the natural low abs breathing, which is natural, which is you be able to have the taste of the beginning of this, the recovery, you can check with your heart rate and heart rate variability. Your heart rate will go down, your heart rate variability will go up. If you really have the process and the training of this training part martial purpose, you go check your VO2 max. You will have the ability to improve it. Even though VO2 max is by genetics, but you still be able to improve it. Why? Because you become more efficient now to handling your breathing. Okay? So you need to know this map, the natural low abs breathing. You need to develop that first. After that, get into this recovery, be able to do that. Only after that, if it's needed, go to the martial training stuff. Doing this without this is running a risk of hurting the body. Doing this without knowing this, when you are young, you brute force it. But when you get older, you know you get all kind of problem in your health because you're brute forcing it. The Chinese have record down there called internal injury. One of our senior uncle Bruce Lee also lack of this thing. It get into this. And that's why he get into the tragic. I'm not saying this. Like the late grandmaster of the internal and this and Buddhist and Taoist cultivation, Nan Huaijing, have put it in public in the book. Even though he didn't mention Bruce Lee's name, he said the Hong Kong movie stars. Okay? So you need to be careful on this thing. Don't mess around. The Chinese have 1,000 years of experience in that. And now we be able to check with the Western sport science whether it works or not. And it is really scientific now. This is the recovery. This is the training part. It is according to the sport science too. We know if the training is balanced. And if one have the reference, one know. If one have the reference, you go down to the HRV or the heart rate and the HRV, you can check it. Your VO2 max will be different too. Okay? And one need to do this, to know this. So how difficult is to know this? You take 30 minutes for this video, you can see the entire thing. Why is that need to have a 10,000 grandmaster, hundreds of years, and everybody spiral around like crazy? And really, what are you doing? So without this breathing, you say your Xiu Tao is internal, this and that. I say I don't buy it. Why? This is the ancient and this is the sport science. We know you will never develop whatever it is. You can make all claim on your Xiu Tao on this and that, but you will never develop it. And none violating this be able to develop anything. Why I'm so sure? Read the Chinese records of the internal handling using this sport science to verify it. So it is objective. It is not my opinion. If you're violating this, you get in problem based on sports science and based on the ancient teaching. Now with this one, I already put it in front of everybody's eyes. The state of breathing is in basic Wing Chun art and science. The chapter of the breathing. But people read this breathing, the book. They buy all my books. This like the candy in the candy store. But do one really digest it? The development of this, the N1 process, I specifically put it in the Wing Chun Inception. The N1 process, which is using laying down to develop this thing. Why laying down? That is purposely to make one, put one in a state that one be able to develop this with a high probability. The minute what we put people standing up or sitting down, we don't know that if the persons have a habitual stress on their body which they don't even know. So you put them laying down. That is the best chances to develop this thing. That's why that's in the Wing Chun Inception, and it provides the heart rate and heart rate variability verifications if you get it or not. Only after that, in the Wing Chun matrix, we do the 2C state. You want to carry this lower abs, natural lower abs breathing to standing, because just now in N1 we do it in a laying down. Now we want to transfer from laying down to standing. So this way we can make sure that very repeatable with quality. We know the process, we know the verification that the minimum one can develop this. So if you ask around people who really do the N1, they check their heart rate variability, they can see that the heart rate going down. So they are in the state of recovery, like the sleeping state. They check their heart rate variability going high. So you know that, yes, they can do the natural lower abs breathing, they can recover their body. So you need this basic in order to go this. And you need this basic in order to talk natural, mindfulness, dantian breathing, reverse breathing, whatever it is. Today you look at people who talk Qigong, internal, Neigong, Buddhist, Taoist, but they never talk about breathing. They never explain this to you. And they jump around with this and that and that, and the entire thing is fragmented, and how the thing converge, don't know. So that's how hopeless it is today in Chinese KungFu. Unless this thing is restored with the ancient and with the today's sport science. Okay? So that's why I'm always screaming at people when people go into, I want to do a Qigong breathing. Get your physical proper first. Don't tell me about all this breathing thing. If your physical is not proper, cannot get in, you end up here. Intentionally manipulating. Many things can happen here. Because you don't know your body, you manipulate that thing. Those who get through here, they know their body. So when they sense something is improper, they stop it right away. Those who never Nodders will say, hey, I get the sensation. Like people say, oh, I pay attention to my dantian. I breathe hard deep into my dantian. I have this warm feeling. And that is Qigong, Qi. That's called nonsense. Those type of practice is only good for certain type of people. And the warmth one feel in one's body can be many things. One of the things today we mostly can see is because today more and more people get diabetic. When they feel warm in the body, it is not the qi, it is their blood sugar going high because they are stressing their body. And if you pay attention to the dantian, those type of qigong, those is known to be problematic for people who have diabetic, high blood pressure, and those who say, well, I have the qi in my dantian and I'm going to circulate out like the cosmic power to my top of my head going down. Go check in the Chinese qigong record for past, say, 100 years, how many report of stroke there. Okay? So that is because people don't know this. They go this, they thought that the sensation is proper. They go do this and they keeping doing it, don't even know they have already violated the nature of their body. They are creating some sensations which can be damaging, and they took that as their qigong, their proper breathing, their proper energy. So go read the medical records on this. So in the 1960s, one of the pioneers in Qigong and martial art, the Zhou Quanchuan, who is very westernized too, wrote an article. He said the Tai Chi sets at his time, like 1960s, the Tai Chi sets, because it been modified so much that it create problem in the channel flow and people become getting stroke and so forth. Go read Zhou Quanchuan's writing. See, in the West, we never read this. We never get this deep, right? It exists. So Zhou Quanchuan is a person before the Cultural Revolution, and he was in prison due to political reason, and he died in the prisons. And after Cultural Revolution, oh my God, what type of qigong is there? The entire China have their even code can be named qigong. So now you get this mess. Okay. So we back to the really basic. As I put in the page 77 of the Wing Chun Inception, there is the Huangdi Neiging, page 77. Okay. The bottom line of all this training is Huangdi Neiging. So the Huangdi Neiging said in Chinese, 恬淡兮无，真气从之，精神内守，兵安从来. In English, it says, tranquilize the mind. Qi will follow. Keep essence spirit within. How could illness raise? This is in this state. Quiet your mind. Tranquil your mind. Qi will follow. So if you want to tranquil your mind, you need to have your physical handled properly. If your mind is really tranquil, your breathing will go properly natural, and then only that your qi will follow. Okay? And if you read Lao Tzu, Lao De Jing, it always said you want to be like baby, wu wei, non-doing. Non-doing meaning that you just follow the natural. And the Tao Te Ching say, Dao mimic the natural. This is the pathway. This is on the reverse way. It has its purpose, but until one knows this natural path, doing here this is actually looking for trouble. And also, if one don't know, don't experience, don't develop this, and keeping talking about natural, mindful, and all those are just terms. It mean nothing. Okay? So this is what I'd like to share with you. I know this is a very, maybe really coarse for you, straightforward, but you need to go this straightforward. This is something serious. You don't mess around with this breathing stuff. And on the other hand, you don't lie to people on Qigong, Neigong, on this and that. If you don't have it, don't talk about it.